The Jhana states. As you practice jhana-oriented meditation, you move over time through a series of mental states that become more and more subtle as you proceed through them. You start where you are now and you go far, far beyond. You move beyond the range of concepts and sensory perceptions. All human words and concepts are tied to perception. We depend heavily on vision and hearing as our primary perceptual mechanisms. We are tied to the realm of our senses, and we have never known anything else. Even our abstract concepts are based on our perceptions. When we want to say we understand something, we usually say, "I see what you mean," or "I hear you." But what does understand mean when applied to a realm beyond vision, hearing, or any other material sense perception? We really cannot talk about such things with any real precision. Our normal concepts just do not apply to the non-conceptual. Yet that is where the Jhana states lead, and we must use words to describe it. It is the only way we know how to communicate. As we proceed through the coming description of the Jhana states, words become more and more metaphorical. It cannot be helped. All we have are the concepts of our perceptual realm. But we must keep in mind that we are not really telling the full truth. Only the experience itself will reveal the truth. There are two categories of mundane jhanas. The states in the first category do not have names. They are simply numbered first, second, third, and fourth jhana. These are called the material jhanas, or the fine material jhanas. Those who have attained these jhanas are called those who live happily in this very life. The second category is known as the immaterial jhanas, because the meditation objects of these jhanas are pure concepts, not anything material. You center your mind upon a concept until it takes you into a direct, non-conceptual experience. Those who have attained these jhanas are called those who are liberated and live in peace. These two categories of mundane jhanas are followed by the supra-mundane jhanas, which we shall talk about in Chapter 14. The material jhanas. The material jhanas are four states of experience that lie just beyond our ordinary cognitive sensory world, but still have some relationship to it. Normal words can be used to describe some of the events and phenomena here, but we must remember that much is metaphorical. You see certain aspects of your experience, but it is not visual perception. Some people can attain liberation without the material jhanas through the path of insight meditation alone. The first jhana. As you enter the first jhana, something remarkable happens. There is a total break with normal thought and perception. Your mind suddenly sinks into the breath and dwells. The breath is still there, but it is no longer a thing, just a subtle thought. Much like a memory or an after-image. The world goes away. Physical pain goes away. You do not totally lose all sensation, but the physical senses are off in the background. Wandering conscious thoughts stop. What remains are subtle thoughts of goodwill toward all beings. Your mind is filled with rapture, bliss, and one-pointedness. Rapture or joy is like the leaping elation you feel when you finally get what you have been after. Bliss or happiness is like the rich, sustained satisfaction you feel when you have it. Joy may be physical, like hair rising all over your body. It may be momentary flashes or waves that shower you again and again. Happiness is more restrained, a gentle state of continuing ecstasy. The Buddha offered a useful simile. A man has been wandering in the desert. He is on the verge of complete collapse due to dehydration. Bliss is like drinking all he wants and soaking in a bath of cool water. Happiness is like relaxing in the shade of a tree afterward. The first taste of jhana is usually just a flash, but then you learn to sustain it for longer and longer periods. Eventually you can experience it whenever you meditate. It lasts as long as you have decided that it should last. In the first jhana, joy or rapture predominates. You already put the hindrances on hold and let go of normal conscious thought as you moved into the first jhana. Now it is time to let go of other things. The second jhana. In the second jhana, you drop even the subtle thought of the breath. The subtle thoughts of goodwill drop away. Your mind is now totally free of any verbal or conceptual thoughts, even that of the breath. All that remains is a subtle reflection of thought and sensation that is more like a memory or an after-image. Joy predominates. There is happiness, mindfulness, and concentration. The third jhana. It is hard to imagine that you could ever get bored with joy, but something like that takes place. Rapture is akin to excitement. It is coarse compared to the more subtle happiness and one-pointedness. Your mind turns toward this bliss and one-pointedness in a way that is more delicate, refined, and stable. Equanimity is growing. You gain a feeling of equanimity toward even the highest joy. It is just more material substance, really. It is subtle. But it is still tying you to the hectic world of thought and the senses. You let it go and the joy fades away by itself. In the third jhana, the more subtle bliss or happiness intensifies. It fills you and floods every cell of your body. Confidence rises. Mindfulness and concentration strengthen. The external world may be gone, but body feeling is still present, and it is wonderful. The body is very still. The breath is very gentle. The fourth jhana. In the fourth jhana, you go deeper still. You turn away from all mental states that would counter total stillness, even happiness. The turning away happens by itself, no effort required. Equanimity and one-pointedness get even stronger. Feelings of pain went away at the first jhana. In the fourth jhana, feelings of bodily pleasure go away too. There is not a single thought. You feel sensation that is neither pleasant nor unpleasant. You rest in one-pointedness and equanimity. As your mind becomes progressively more still, your body and breath do the same. In the fourth jhana, it feels like you have stopped breathing altogether. You cannot be roused. You emerge from the fourth jhana only at a predetermined time of your own choosing. The fourth jhana is also the state in which mindfulness and concentration unite into an intense awareness that can penetrate deeply into the nature of existence. This is the ideal state in which to directly perceive the three primary qualities of all ordinary existence: anicca, dukkha, and anatta. You passed through jhanas 1 through 3, simply allowing them to develop and pass. You pause at the fourth jhana. You use the state to see deeply into impermanence, suffering, and no self. The immaterial jhanas. The immaterial jhanas are 4 states that have very little relationship to our ordinary cognitive/sensory world. Normal words simply do not apply. These are called the formless jhanas. The first 4 jhanas are attained by concentration on a material form or the feeling generated by certain concepts, such as loving friendliness. You attain the formless states of the immaterial jhanas by passing beyond all perception of form. To move into the first 4 jhanas, the mind turned away from one thing after another. To enter each successive formless jhana, you substitute one thing for another. You turn your attention toward ever more subtle objects of awareness. There is one-pointedness and equanimity in each of these states, but at each level they become more refined. Concentration gets stronger and steadier. No one can rouse you. You come out of jhana at a time you have predetermined for yourself. The immaterial jhanas are not usually numbered. Each has an individual name that describes the sphere of awareness that the mind occupies or dwells upon. We give them numbers here, just to show their order. The 5th jhana, the base of infinite space. Everything that happens in the mind can be thought of as existing somewhere, as if in a mental space. You turn your attention away from the characteristics of whatever is in the mind and toward the space it occupies. This infinite space is your object of contemplation. Anything you attend to could be likened to a signal being carried on some medium of communication. You turn your attention away from the signal and toward the carrier wave that conveys it. The mind as a space, medium, channel, or vehicle is your object of awareness. Equanimity and one-pointedness now mature fully. You find yourself in a realm where all perception of form has ceased. You cannot be disturbed or disrupted from the outside, but the tiniest suggestion of the material senses remain. You ignore them totally, but if you turn your attention to any of them, the Jhana is lost. The sixth Jhana, the base of infinite awareness. Awareness of infinite space requires infinite awareness. You turn your attention toward that immeasurable alertness. The thought of infinite space drops away, and what is left is infinite awareness without an object. You dwell in boundless consciousness, pure awareness of awareness. The seventh Jhana, the base of nothingness. The next Jhana is often called the base of nothingness. The infinite awareness of the previous Jhana has no object. It is empty, vacant, and void. You turn your awareness toward this emptiness. The seventh Jhana is pure focus upon no-thingness. Your awareness dwells on the absence of any object. The eighth Jhana, the base of neither perception nor non-perception. Perception of no-thingness is still perception. Your mind gets bored even with that, and swings away from any perception at all. Total absence of perception is sublime. You turn your attention away from perception of the void and toward the peacefulness of total non-perception. If there is the slightest hint of desire to attain this serenity or to avoid the awareness of void, the transition will not occur. There is no gross perception going on, yet there is still super-subtle awareness of the state itself. The eighth Jhana is called neither perception nor non-perception. The Supra-mundane Jhanas. The supra-mundane Jhana states are an absolute prerequisite to liberation. They take place at the end of both the insight meditation path and the Jhana path. The supra-mundane is where the two paths merge. In this series of states, the fetters, deep-rooted tendencies of the mind that bind you, are burned away without a trace. This is where the meditator does the final work of escaping from samsara. These states sound truly remarkable and appealing, do they not? But how do we get there? We'll start to answer that question with the next chapter.